Hey everyone! Now this is even though we've got a lot of people in this session, this is still a meeting. Feel free to, just like Adrian showed you, just feel free to unmute and say Marianne and then ask your question. If you are not asking a question, please mute. I was overhearing a conversation with someone else a minute ago, and that's you never know what people are going to be saying when they don't know their mic is on, right? Remember the Ronald Reagan thing, or maybe I'm the only one who would remember the Ronald Reagan thing. Okay, so here we go. So what we're going to talk about today is, so StopL has been looking at the idea of building a capacity ratings tool. The last time somebody spent a lot of energy on it, it feels like was 2000 when Elizabeth Crabtree came out with her stuff. We have all kinds of new stuff going on in the world of how wealth is built and how wealth is assessed. One of the places where it's consistent every year and it's reported every year is the IRS data. So we'll talk about some of that as a way of trying to figure out, trying to get any kind of estimate of what your prospect might look like, right? And since we're going to be dealing with medians and whatnot, um, it's going to, we're still going to be frustrated, right? So we can say the the average IRS return for $10 million income people had 17 deductions at an average of $1,000 each. But we don't know that one of those gifts was $17,000, 16,800 or 987, and the others were whatever the rest of it is, $1 each. Excuse me. So, but still, if we have nothing to work with, right? This is why we always get stuck using real estate. If we have nothing to work with, let's work with something, right? So the first thing is you're going to go to irs.gov statistics, and you're welcome to go there with me. Let me pull that up. How much stuff do I have open right now? So this is IRS statistics, and this is size of adjusted income. Okay, so if I go back to individual incomes tax statistics, I've got estate tax, personal wealth, trusts and estates. But the other thing is there is a personal wealth statistics and business tax statistics, which will help me understand. Like this morning on the L, there was somebody who's like, look, I got a prospect who owns half a car dealership. How do I figure out what that means for his wealth, right? So this SOI statistics of income, so this is some stuff to take a look at. Now, the problem is, here's some top wealth holders. This is all the stuff that we used to use pretty consistently. Frankly, back in 2008 or 9, I actually tried to compete to be the analyst who did this, and I think I missed one dot or comma because they just canceled the whole thing. But you can see this is state. What was in the average of state. That's how we get the competitive research on wealth. All right. So let's take a look at one of these tables. I've got two of them open. One is table 1.4. And table 1.4, and Gail, I'm going to need you to interrupt me if somebody asks a question because I just moved the gallery out of the way.
Sure thing.
Thank you. So this is all returns, right? Adjustments, tax items, okay? So there's 157 billion returns, okay? And only 20,000 people make $10 million or more. Now you're like, Marianne, my prospect makes 100 million a year or 2 billion a year. Like, that's not fair, right? And I still remember the look on Rob Scott's face when he said that. It's like, and the stuff that I need, like the thing stops before we get to the people that I'm actually looking at, right? So we're stuck with this. This is one of the reasons why I say, if this is all we can get, we have to use it, right? So these people, their adjusted gross income, I don't remember what less deficit is. I think that's like after you do your deductions for your retirement fund and whatnot, right? And their total income. So notice the total income's up a little bit, 591 billion. And notice that if you look at salaries, look at this beautiful bell curve here, salaries and wages, right? So only 16,000 of these 20,000 in returns had salary and wages, and it was $102 billion out of the 591. It's only 20% of it. Oh, well, where are they making their money, right? Well, there's some interest, tax exempt interest. So they're smart investors, right? And then they also got 51 billion in dividends. So they 27 billion in interest, 57 billion in dividends. That's almost 10% of their total income. Okay. So blah, 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 state income tax. But when we come over here to business or profession, right? Net income on business or profession, we have some people with a with business profession. Now, here's the thing. If I'm the sole owner of a company, right? And my company, you use the key business ratios to figure out that I make $10 million or more a year. And I've calculated prospects like they own big real estate ventures or what have you. They bring home more than 10 million a year, right? Then what's my net income, right? You might be able to get that from here. So if my net income or my is this amount, you might be able to use this, right? Also, notice these people don't sell their stock, right? The people here, 50 to 500,000, they sell their stock, but the wealth holders that we're interested in do not. And then here's a net gain on the stock that they sell, though. Notice that it's the highest of everything. So when they do sell their stock, they make a ton of money, right? One of the things I'd want to do for an alert is set up my prospect names and do the Form 4s where the code is disposed by gift. I'd want to know what that prospect disposes of by gift, okay? So, okay, so then real estate, okay, whatever, retirement fund, okay, whatever, right? And then I'm at the point where, okay, do the really rich people make royalties? Sometimes, some of them do. Some of them have royalties, right? And royalties is, but they're not farmers, right? Here's the partnerships, okay? And notice we only have net, we don't have gross. So we don't know what the proportion of net to gross is, which is annoying because we can usually only find the gross amount, and then we have to get the ratio. So we have to look in other tools for that. Notice these people do not apply for unemployment, and they get some Social Security benefits, okay? So other income, they might even have other income, and this is where, and then, oh, I just flipped past that. I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. I had gambling expenses up for a second. They're not gamblers either, although there were enough people. There it is, gambling earnings. There were enough people who make money gambling. Here's something to think about, okay? So you already, if you have anybody who's doing well in sports and making money in sports and sports administration, sports commentary, sports teams, right? You want to learn how sports money is made and go to the reference.com. So if you have a baseball player, go to baseballreference.com. It'll tell you the salaries of the sports players. If you have anybody who is telling you they do sports betting, that's gambling earnings. And sports betting is like the latest exploded way that we steal from people and who are trying to get rich quick. But there are people who do make a lot of money. Okay, health savings. There was something else. Now notice that I don't have anything and notice that they don't do IRA payments either. So that's not going to give us any information. I don't have anything for charitable deductions, right? Okay. So I don't like where are the where's contribution, right? Notice that alternative minimum tax kicks in up here. Okay, so where is that? Well, I have to go to, so that's form 1.4. I have to go to form 2.1. And notice this is 2019 because they filed in 2020 and they took them a year to put all this stuff together for us, which means that if you're looking for somebody's 2021 data, you're going to have to wait till 2023 to look at it. Okay. So this is going to be an interesting table for us to figure out salaries and wages. So let's just picture that. Let's just take a this number here. I'm going to show you how you're going to use this. Okay. So this number here is salaries and wages for $10 million or more. Okay. I'm just going to maybe I'll build a new table, right? But this is divided by the number of returns that reported 10 million or more. So 80% of the people who make 10 million or more have a salary, right? And so that tells us something. Okay. Let's see, where's contributions? I found the contributions. So if you did this, if you decided you wanted to do this, you could do what portion, what percent have this, what percent have that. Where is contributions? Let's look for it because I had it up. I really did. There. Now here's your total contributions. Notice that almost like 18,000 out of 20,000 is a lot of people, and $39 billion, right? They did half of it in cash and a little less than half of it in other than cash. Think about this. If your gift officers say, we don't want an in-kind gift, we don't want a gift of art, we don't want a gift of stock, we don't want to, we want it simple, we want cash. The answer is, well, you have to notice that, 40% of the, all the charitable contributions coming from people giving 10 million or more, or making 10 million or more, it comes from other than cash. You're just going to have to deal, right? So later when you see my NFT thing, or if you come to the Apper New York one next week or the week after to watch my cryptocurrency one, remember this, right? And so here's contributions. So now I can do, one thing I could do is this is a percentage of those people in those high net worth who make a cash contribution. Here we go. All right. And then here's the average cash gift and here's the average other gift. But the problem is average cash gift, right? So I give 25 to one charity, but I give 1,000 to another. And it's true for high net worth individuals too. So you want to combine this with your screening data to figure out gift sizes. Does anybody want to look at anything else before I start talking about how to use it? Did I go too fast? It's dusty in my house. We're resanding floors upstairs. Okay.
No questions in chat.
Okay. Anybody want to rescue me?
Oh, wait, we've got a question.
Okay.
From Michelle, is there any way to tell where these people are geographically dispersed?
Yes, Michelle, what a great question. I love that. So if I go back to individual income tax statistics, here's by filing status, by tax rate, and here's state data, and here's zip code data. Oh, zip code data, right? Notice that the zip code data stops in 2011, or ours. Oh no, here it is, 2019. I beg your pardon. All right, here you go. And so I would download each state. So what state are you interested in, Michelle?
California.
Okay. California knows how to party. Okay. Opening. Yep, CA. Okay. So this isn't it. Okay, so here's California. No, I'm sorry, here's zip code. I beg your pardon. That's the whole zip code thing. That Ruthie and I will play with that later. Let's go find California. I'm going to load it again. I had too many screens open. It's okay to watch the presenter struggle a little bit. California, here you go. Oh, I'm sorry, this is California by zip, which is even better, right? Because then you can say, look, Oh, notice that there's only 200,000 in a lot of these. What's the zip for Los Angeles? Because I would imagine that 200,000 is not going to be the cap at Los Angeles.
Don't know the zip of Los Angeles, but Michelle has indicated, wow, thank you for this. Already looks really interesting.
Oh, good. Okay.
And
All right.
and you can try 90049 as the zip. 90049.
Okay. Oh, so California, they gave up at 200,000 or more. So what percentage of all returns is this, right? So there's 10,800. Oh, beg your pardon. There's 18,000 returns, 5,000 are in the Los Angeles, are in make 2,000 or more. So what is that? That's over 25%.
Kelly indicates, FYI, the number of returns in the zip code level data is always rounded to the nearest 10.
Thanks, Kelly. Oh, so that explains why everything ends with a 0. Okay, so if we added all this up, we would not come up with 100%.
Do you mind looking at 94027?
We have time. So the bummer about this is we only get to $200,000.
Good deal.
Nobody lives here. 3,200 people live here, and half of them make 200,000 or more.
Before we go on to the how, can Robin had says, thanks, so far off. That is so far off. We are talking 16 million in homes.
Yes.
So it's interesting data. But
that begs the question, right? Sorry, Gayla. Robin, what you're saying then is that this IRS data is not providing you with better information than you already have. You already have better data that gets more granular to the wealth of the people, because it says 200,000 or more. It stopped the 200,000. It didn't even go up to 2 million or 10 million, right? So that data for California is not useful to you. For Utah, it might be, right? For Wyoming, it might be. For New York, it would not, right? So for there, we go like, oh, well, they can afford a, $10 million house. That's where we go for there. Sorry.
Very good. Before we move on to the how, Emily was wondering if you can show again how you downloaded table 2.1.
Okay. So individual income tax. Okay, tax returns with line items. Okay. And these are PDFs. I don't want that. How did I end up with PDFs? I'm sorry. I get as lost as anybody else would. Here we go. Statistical tables. Sorry. So if I downloaded the PDF, there would be discussion. So here's a statistical table. Okay. And here, see, it says table 1.1, table 1.2 here. And I went to table 1. I looked through all these for you, and I went to table 1.4 and I clicked on that and it pops up because I'm in Chrome. You may have a different experience, but that's what I did. This is a download link. What else have we got for questions or comments?
So far, that's all we have.
Okay. So the thing is, once we have this stuff, right? And so already you guys are already going for, you're already going for, how do I use this, right? How do I use this? How do I find what applies to me? How to make good use of it? All right. And you've already found the places where it's not helpful. So when I think about programming a capacity rating tool, I would be like, if this person is a lawyer, estimate income. If this person is a business owner, figure out the company value, right? And then otherwise go to real estate, otherwise go to census data, otherwise go to IRS data, right? Or go to IRS data first, because then they actually tell us what their income is, even though we're looking at it completely in aggregate, okay? So I want to talk about a concept now that we used, we sometimes use for our clients, and it's making use of this IRS data and the medians, and it's borrowed from the idea of the sports data. And so this is one of the things. So already we have somebody in California going, that isn't helpful to me. Well, because the median isn't where you want to be. You want to be in those 100 or those 1,000 people who are way up there in wealth, right? But here's the thing. So if you're trying to figure out how many home runs a particular player is going to get, so let's say, is Coco Chris baseball or football? I can't remember. So let's say this particular player is going to bat at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Well, the average runs in Kauffman Stadium is 3.6. But if this same batter went to Chase Field in Phoenix, it would be half. In other words, you cannot say because this player is batting, he's going to bat this much, right? Because the parks themselves where he goes, and only in baseball is it like this. Soccer is the same exact field. Basketball is the same exact field. The differences with there is how much light is in your face or whatever, whether the home crowd is way more excited for you to get slaughtered or whatever, right? But the park itself changes it's a factor in the likelihood to give. So if we think about that, we have to make an adjustment based on this median. So like you said, my California prospects have multi-million-dollar real estate pieces. So I'm going to start with a rating. But Marianne, tell me if your IRS stuff can help me get the rating closer to, right? And then you decide. Once you do the math, you decide. I believe this, I don't believe this, because you've done enough prospect research and you've looked at wealth, at different kinds of wealth enough that you know when it feels right, when it doesn't feel right, just like you had that clear instinct a few minutes ago, okay? So if you think about this, so this is the IRS does medians, and the reason the IRS does medians is because an average gets skewed by the highest one, right? So when somebody makes a $500 million gift and you try to figure out the average gift size for that organization, the whole thing is way too high, right? So what you do is the median, and the median is, let's say you have 10 gift values, right? And the highest one is 1 million, the lowest one is 1. You just count to gift value 5, the middle, the median, right in the middle. And that's there are as many gifts above that value as below, right? And that's what you want, okay? So what is the median of the highest gift amount for your entire database? This is something for you to warm up to use the IRS data, right? Year by year to get the top of the class. Annual fund, the median of the highest gift amount, or the median of somebody's total giving to the annual giving program, right? For the last 5 years, is it going up, right? If it isn't, by the way, and if it's $50, that means that that's your ask amount, okay? Okay, but if you think about it, what is the median for things like age, location? We already talked about a constituency, occupation, or giving behavior, okay? So let's say that we are using the IRS data to say that, you know what, people 65 plus, right, give 150 per year. Okay, but the prospect that we're looking at, when we pulled down the IRS table data and we use that table data to get us examples of what the medians and means were, or the medians were, and what the differential was from the median, from the whole median, what is the difference here, right? So 38-year-olds give less and 72-year-olds give more, maybe, right? Okay, so what is the change from the overall median? Okay, let's say that the median for the whole set is $150 per year. Your prospect's age is in the group where they give 10% of the median. So I'm going to add $15 to the capacity or to the ask amount. All right, anybody have questions about this? Because I'll show you some examples. I'll show you some examples of how to manipulate the IRS data to get to this. I see the number going up with chat things.
So far, there's no questions.
Thank you. Okay. So let's take a look. Oh, sorry. Okay. So this is table 2.1, which is the last table I showed you, right? So I added, and here's your la 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 la. Okay. I added this column. I just inserted, I said enable editing, and I inserted this column, and what's the percentage of income for giving contributions, cash contributions. All right. So this amount is 132,602, and it's billions. Add 000 after that, comma 000 after that. And here's the adjusted gross income. So what's this divided by that? Gets me 3.4%. 10 million or more, 3.43%. So your ask amount for your average prospect at a higher level, right? At when you estimate their income to be 10 million or more, is at least 3.43% of their income. And then if you're doing a major gift, it's times 5 because it's over 5 years. This is 1 year's worth of tracking, right? This is where you go. You could say, I couldn't find anything on this prospect except I estimated income. And by the way, I don't see any gifts for him, but this is what his capacity is based on what his peer groups give according to the IRS. Okay. Here's age. So there is an age table that you can find if you dig around in that morass of IRS statistics data. Okay. And it's what is the percent change. So if your median, right? If your median for the entire population is a certain amount, anybody under 18 is going to give 45% less. Notice I made this as a chart. I pulled it from doing here's the median and here's the average for the median for these guys, and what is the difference between the two, right? And then 65 and over, they give 60-70% more than the median. So if the median for giving charitable contributions is $1,000, and 65 and older gives 65% more, it's $1,650 that you're starting with as your yearly ask amount, right? And once you have the 65 and older, try combining it with the income, right? Now notice that we're still not talking wealth, right? So we have to go to the wealth tables, and we have to use the Capgemini report still, and any other wealth study there is out there about charitable giving. I keep pestering Donor Search to do an analysis of giving by different people by their capacity rating. But of course, they're busy selling screening. They're not going to do my work for me. So notice that once I'm 65 and older, I'm going to give a lot more. Of course I am. Because when I'm 65, my kids are grown, my house is normally paid off if I'm smart, right? I'm retired, so I'm thinking about my legacy. And so, of course, now this is an excuse, right, to say to me, well, Marianne, that means that we don't solicit any major gifts prospects until they're 65 or more. And the answer is no, because we still have the Mark Zuckerbergs out there who, are barely 30 and really should be thinking about giving some money back. And he did, right, to the New Jersey school system. Okay. This is another study. This is the Lilly family of philanthropy. But notice that this statistics, you see the filing type, couples, married filing jointly, single female. That's all data that was available in the IRS tables if I felt like putting it together in the way that the the Lilly school did, right? And so notice that even gender matters, right? Women give more than men, more often than men. Okay, even though I'm a baby boomer, so I'm still stuck in the obnoxious paradigm that the men make more money. That's turning around since women are graduating from college at huge rates right now. So, okay. And then this is joint returns, married persons filing separately, heads of households. The minute I say I'm a head of household, I'm raising a baby by myself. So of course I give less than people where, I and my spouse are multi-billionaires and we have nothing to do all day but give our money away, right? And then I'm single, right? I'm going to preserve cash for survival, right? You can see the self-actualization table happening here. I'm by myself. I'm I have a responsibility for another person, so therefore I have bigger need to preserve cash. Oh yeah, and we're, we've met our survival needs, we've met our security needs, and now we're meeting our giving away to other people's needs. Questions or comments yet right now? I'm going to check the time while I'm.
If anybody has any questions, you can throw them in chat or unmute. So far, nothing.
Okay. Okay. So either you guys are fascinated or I put you in a coma. Ruthie will tell me later.
Real quick, Emily asked, this slide is percent change in giving?
Yes, it's a percent change of the median gift amount based on the form type, based on the filing status.
Lois indicates that she is fascinated.
Thank you, Lois. Thank you for saving me. I can't see you guys, so I don't know. So thank you. Thank you for the reassurance, Lois. Okay, now let's talk about occupation, right? So I'm a sole proprietor and my company, we don't have to make widgets. Everything, our income is out of our brains, okay? So that means that we don't, our gross margin is different than say at a company that makes sugar. Excuse me, where the sales price pushes the margin down a lot, right? It's a commodity. Okay. So can we do something with occupation? Yes, the IRS did table 1904. It's a bit, it's still very broad, but it's still something we can think about. Okay. So here's self-employed workers, right? And one of the things I was looking at while I was preparing for this is my self-employment tax is 15% of my profit in my company. So therefore, what was the median self-employment tax amount? And that is 15% of what? But then I noticed when I was practicing this morning that the table 1.4 and 2.1 give the profit amount. So I didn't have to do all that work. Okay, but here's my cash count. So self-employed workers, right? This is how many, and this is the percentage. 3.6 are self-employed, 2.6 are salaried. And notice this is everybody. This one is everybody. Managers and professionals, technical service workers, right? You would think that service workers would have a higher percentage, right? Constructions operators, retired, and then all other. I'm sorry. This is the percent of these people who make cash contributions and the average cash contribution. Okay, of all adjusted incomes, of all of this incomes. Okay, so the mean for the entire population is 1946. Okay, so self-employed people give an average of 3.235, which is 166% of 1946. So the minute I said I'm self-employed, you're going to multiply my ask amount by 1.66. Okay, if I'm a professional, 1.33. If I'm telling you that I'm technical, sales, or clerical, you're going to drop it by a third. And if I'm a service worker, you're going to drop it by more than half. You're also going to help me get out of that and get to a better job, right? And retired people, it's 61% of the mean. Okay, so let's say that we're down, we've got age, and our gift officer says, look, yeah, but he's a, he's a consultant, so help me out with that. You say, okay, well, because he's a consultant, they actually give a 1 2/3 more. They give 2/3 more than everybody else, right? Because when you're self-employed, you got to do something with your profit. Okay, so that's the different things that you can do. How do you combine them? You're going to combine them based on your experience with your experience as a prospect researcher. So if you say, I don't know an age, but I do know a profession, you'll probably go for the profession. If you say, I can't estimate income, but I know a region, you'll go for region. People in this region, reported out this much. Region is the hardest one. As we saw from the brilliant California example, thank you. It's hard to say everybody living in the state gives an average of $1,000 a year. I mean, really, unless it's like even New Hampshire. New Hampshire has more millionaires per capita than any place else, or it used to be. It was true in the 90s, right? I don't know if it's true now. New York has billionaires, right? But I mean, unless it's a state like North Dakota, where there's 10 people living in there, you're really going to have a hard time making a inference across the range. Real estate values for a particular zip code are helpful, but then you're also going to look at census data as well. Now we have time to explore some stuff if you want to explore some more stuff, because I kind of went through this fast. It's really one of these things where I show you, you go, that's cool, and then you go out and try it. But talk to me. What do you guys want to do next? Thanks, Kelly. See ya. Okay, Suzanne says, go over the last slide, but more slowly. Okay. Let me go find how to share my screen. Okay. Okay. The other consideration to do, right? So you have age, right? But a 65-year-old who's self-employed is different from a 65-year-old who was on a salary. Because on a salary, I want to resign. If I'm self-employed, I'm going to keep ownership of the company. Okay. So the stop hellers, they're not going to lose me the minute I turn 65 because I do this because I love this, right? So that's one thing to think about, right? So the thing to think about, and I did go through this pretty fast, so I'm sorry, is let's say we have occupation of reference person. So that's the occupation of the person filing. Okay. All right. So cash contributions, notice that some people smoke. Isn't that nice? I don't know what, standard error and coefficient of variation. This is if you're a geek, go ahead and do this. Once you have this, you can actually build the confidence interval and you can say these people give on average between here and here, and so your prospect will 95% of the time land in one of those values. Okay. But if my primary occupation is self-employed, okay, then this is cash contributions. There are, I'm going to make sure I get this right. The average, this is the mean, actually, sorry. This is the mean for all IRS returns is $1,946 in contributions per year. And 3.1% of all returns are have a cash contribution. So we all have work to do to get more people to give. Okay. All right. But if I look at a self-employed worker, their average contribution goes up to $32.35. So this is like 1 2/3, right? More than the average of 1946. And actually I did the math for you down here. Okay. So once I get to self-employed people, I'm going to expect a 1 2/3 size gift over the average gift. When I make charitable contributions, I make them through Stop Hell. A couple of reasons. One, remember that 15% self-employment tax? You guys pay 7.5% to Social Security. I pay 15%. So if I can take it off my Schedule C, I will, right? And so that, that adds 7.5% to the value of my gift just that way, right? So, but also when I'm self-employed, I'm in charge of all the money. Okay. So wage and salary earners. So now this is somebody else pays me. So I have to go ask my boss for a raise. I have to beg my boss to keep me. I have to, okay. That goes down. That's a little lower than the average for everybody, 1,700. And managers and professionals go up to 2,500. Now, when I say managers and professionals, what are some of the examples of a manager or professional? Goldman Sachs managing director, a lawyer, right? But it can a professional is also an RN. A manager is also manager of marketing at a manufacturing firm, at a shoe company. Those are all in here. But I'm because we're talking mean here, we're talking those Goldman Sachs guys are probably cranking up the mean. Okay. All we want to know is that if I'm a manager, if I'm a boss, okay, then I'm going to give a third more than your average bear. Okay. But the minute I tell you that I'm a technical worker, I'm a car saleswoman, or I'm a clerical worker, I'm going to give a third less, because my average giving is 1,299, which is 66% of this overall mean. Service workers, less than half. Is this making sense now? You want me to re-explain the math? Because you're right, it did go fast, and I have plenty of time. I just realized I have plenty of time.
We've got some comments on, yes, it makes sense.
Okay, thanks.
If you know the spouse's information, would you
Right.
still analyze them through this framework separately or as a couple?
I might analyze them through the framework separately. Also, there is one for dependents. And a spouse isn't normally a dependent, but there is one for figuring out the other people in the household. Okay. So yeah, I would do each of them through this tool. And then if like he's a managing director of Goldman Sachs and she's a self-employed designer, what am I going to do? Right. And this is where capacity rating ranges help me out. Well, first of all, if he's Goldman Sachs, his stuff is visible, right? And if she's a self-employed designer, I get her revenue, and then I can go look at business statistics to figure out what the profit margin is for designers. And then I say, she probably makes this much, he probably makes that much. He's got this much in stock. She, uh, has made these kinds of contributions elsewhere. And then when I figure them both out, I'm not going to do some kind of combination. I'm going to choose something. Right. And I'm going to choose the best value that my gift officer can ask for. Remember that the danger isn't that we're asking for too much. The danger is often that we're asking for too little. If somebody walked into my house and had a long 1 hour meeting with me and looked me deeply in the eyes and said, "We'd like $100 from you," I would be insulted at what they consider to be my professional success, but also they wasted an hour for $100. I charge more than that for my time, right? So if somebody came into my house and asked me for more than I can give, a lot of gift officers come back to me and say, "He just said that's all my wealth," and I said, "No, this is all his wealth," right? What he was really saying is that's all my free cash flow. But he was embarrassed. Okay, people who are afraid of losing face or being insulted, they're I don't know. I mean, I'm not a gift officer, so I don't know how that goes. But if I'm looking at a couple, I'm really looking at the power of the person who has more. Boy, I really talked all around that, didn't I? It's an interesting topic.
Marianne,
Yeah.
I had a question. Oh, can you show real estate in these numbers?
So there are real estate taxes in these numbers, but I would add real estate value separately. Here's the problem with real estate value. So this is IRS data, right? So that's what we're talking about. But there is what is it, exemption for mortgage interest. There's two catches to real estate. One is you're not going to catch me buying $1 million house this year. You're not. All right. But if I own this house for 20 years, chances are this house will quadruple in value. And so 20 years from now, I'm going to look a lot richer than I really am. It's just that I kept the house and I paid the mortgage. right? So, so yes, you can, if you're doing capacity ratings and you take data from the IRS and you're sitting there with your capacity ratings tool trying to figure it out, you know, you can say, um, so this is your capacity ratings tool, right? So let's say that's 166,000 is the screening product, right? And then the uh, I don't know what the other catch is that we use the Capgemini report to do real estate, but the catch is that the Capgemini report makes it very clear it's not your primary residence. So if I have one $7 million residence, that's not part of the Capgemini report for what percentage of my wealth that piece of real estate makes up. Okay. So that's my other problem. So let's say this is my second property on Martha's Vineyard. And then let's say, uh, so let's say this is the IRS one, right? So if I had these three estimates, which one am I going to go for? Okay. And then the next one is, what is my highest gift elsewhere? And let's say that's 5 million, right? Oh, I hate that. Excuse me. I'll take off accounting and put it into currency. That's better. Okay. Which am I going to choose? And that's probably your question around the real estate. You know, I would choose that $5 million. There's wealth that I don't see based on everything that I looked at. Make sense?
A clarifying question. I meant, can you show IRS data on how much total wealth someone has based on the value of their real estate?
Only through the estate, gift, and trust statistics. So this is, look, here's California. That's going to haunt us some more. Okay. Portion composition. Here's real estate. So that's estate. So after I die, that's the only time I'm going to expose to the IRS my wealth. Okay. But this was a table that Elizabeth and I used, and a lot of us used early on, because this one is all real estate.
Robin indicates that she was shocked of the data with Atherton, that and surrounding areas, there are many VCs, hedge fund managers, CEO founders. That's where they all live. And
Right.
there's outstanding amounts of wealth, old and new there. And it goes just 20 miles north.
Yes. So here's where you just discovered that for Atherton, the IRS data doesn't help you because it tops out. It stops at 200,000 a year, right? So first of all, venture capitalists don't bring home. Remember the Warren Buffett problem, right? Warren Buffett pays less in income taxes than his administrative assistant does because he holds his wealth. He doesn't take any income. Venture capitalists, it's the same thing. Then hedge fund guys, they fold it all right back in. So that's one thing to remember. So we're talking income versus wealth, and all the stuff we were looking at for the IRS was income, except when we got to here, this particular illustration here. Okay, so that's one thing. The second thing is, if I'm a venture capitalist and I'm bringing home 10 million a year, the category that the IRS is going to put me into is that 200,000 plus category. I'm going to be buried in there with all the other people whom I wouldn't even talk to at the country club. So you're right. You're right. It's not shocking. That doesn't work for me.
Emily raises the question, so it's a limitation of how the IRS measures things.
Yes. Yep. Yep. I can still see Rob Scott's face. And then they don't even have the categories that I need, you know, and he's sweeping his arm across the room. Yep. That's the frustrating bit. Yep. So notice that I did not use it to say this is how much. What I said was, let's take this data. Let me pull that slide back up. Let's take this data and use it as a way of understanding differential. So I'm going to estimate capacity based on wealth because I'm doing major gifts capacity, right? But also, people who are 65 or older give more, right? So I can make an adjustment based on age. Isn't that fun? Don't you just want to go write a Python code for this? How's everybody doing?
Suzanne writes, capacity rating spreadsheets have traditionally required income in order to calculate wealth. So I sometimes just take a wild guess and plug it in, which may be totally off base.
I don't know. My first thought is, Suzanne, I don't think that you're making as wild a guess as you think. You're probably using Glassdoor, payroll. You're probably using what's the average income, the AmLaw top 100 for lawyers. What does, a Goldman Sachs managing director make? I mean, you're probably using something. There was a brilliant presentation at, I think it was APRA, Pennsylvania, using the immigrant data. There's a form number, form something, something. And then, we offered this person this position as head of the something something division in our company, so we have to tell you what we're going to pay them, and that becomes an income estimator. There's lots of salary surveys out there, so if you can give me an example, we can look at it together, because do we have time? Yeah, we have 9 minutes, so we can actually look through one example together. Just give me an occupation. You don't have to tell me the person. Do we have it? Did Suzanne go? What is she saying to me?
Suzanne had written, to your point, that the
Yeah.
UHNW folks don't report income, which isn't indicative of their wealth.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, and that's where we're stuck, right? So annual giving is checkbook giving, that's income. Major gifts is asset giving, that's wealth. The problem is when the hedge fund guys and the venture capitalist guys and the cryptocurrency guys, the NFT guys came in and their wealth was cash from income, we started getting confused. But you're absolutely right, Suzanne. If you're only looking at income, you're looking at annual giving, but you have to look at wealth. What did I do with that income to build the wealth? Yep. I'm trying to remember if we did a capacity ratings overview thing for the water cooler chat, so we can look before we send out the note on the recording. Yep. How's everybody feel? Everybody feels like staying off camera.
Got some smiley faces. Good.
Thank you.
It was so helpful. Lots of food for thought. Need to go play.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. If the people are dropping off, we're just going to go start fiddling around with all this stuff and inventing new things. I hope you will share them with us as we, because it is really time to build a new capacity rating tool that is not based on, manufacturing, right? Because we do so much more. Go ahead.
We'll have the replay sent out hopefully by the end of the week for anybody that signed up. And I'm going to paste in next water cooler chats link if anybody wants to pre-register.
Thank you. Suzanne, it's going to take us a few years to build this thing because the complexity that I want to put in it is enormous. And we are thinking about, if we make it work, we're thinking about licensing it, just like you would for iWave or something else. Yep. Our next session is using Monte Carlo analysis to predict end of year giving. The end of the year is coming, right? This is tax week, right? But the end of the year is coming. So What if you tried to predict end of year giving and you were right? So that's a geek out session. You can come and you can say, I don't get that, I don't get that, I don't get that. But then when we show what the results will be, you can say, oh, I want one of those. And then you find a geek that will do the geeky part for you. Okay. And it's in Excel. Greg is an Excel, he's an extreme Exceller. If the man did skateboarding the way he does Excel, he would win the Olympics. Findageek.com should be a website. I think there is one.
I don't know, but if not, we need to capture it.
That's right. We're gonna get into buying websites. All right. Thank you everybody for coming. I see people dropping off. So those of you who are just hanging out being polite, you are welcome to unmute and put on your camera and use up our last 4 minutes of our time. Or just go ahead and drop off. It's okay. Because I get it. It's lunchtime.